typically, Korean men taste pretty good. And even then, things like that out of context, so you just be like, I love Twinkies, I love this, I love that. People are like, oh, cool, yeah, they're pretty okay. And then it's like, oh man, I just love drinking fluids from Korean men. And they're like, I didn't know you swung that. I mean, we still love you, but what the fuck? No, not like that. Spiritually. And then they're like, yeah, it's like Korean men, Muslim women taste great. But yeah, it's typically women of my race, typically women that are like Northern European, that are virgins, that are, 18, the youngest legally possible. And then you can start to see where this goes into what people accuse me of. And then I'm like, yeah, these virgins taste really good. Like their energy is very pure. And this is why, this is a hidden tip. People that are into spiritualism, if you're a virgin, your spells are more powerful. If you, practice celibacy from the get-go and practice spiritualism since you're a child into your adult life, you'll be more powerful than any sorcerer and any of these published magicians or whatever. Because, being a virgin means you're closer to what you were before you were born, a spirit, or because children are closer to what they were before being fucking dead, So virginity, I'm thinking of it in non-sexual terms. I'm thinking, it means that this person still has a type of youth, a type of innocence, a type of vigor that makes them spiritually and healthier. Like their spiritual body is biologically healthier. It's more robust. It's has more nutrients. It's much better, right? I'm looking at this from like a completely cold, detached, analytical point of view, right? And I've tried feeding on virgins by going to like D&D games, but apparently they're all having sex. I mean, there's some freaky, like, I could smell their body count. That's another thing. A lot of psychic vampires we have, in terms of how we are able to psychically, spiritually interact with the other side. A lot of the times we'll have like one sense missing. I don't have a sense of smell, but spiritually, I can smell really good, like a bloodhound. That's a part of my spiritual vampiric mutation. I can smell photos. I can smell people IRL, and I can gauge a lot about them. And it's funny too, because whenever I'm on Discord or things like that, or Reddit, I love freaking people out. It's funny because I can smell people and tell how old they are, what race they are, and sometimes I'll smell corn. I'll smell their environment, right? Things that they eat. I can tell that they're not full of high fructose corn syrup, and they eat like homegrown meals, whether that's like their own farm animals or from the local meat market, and they just smell clean. I'm like, oh, you're a rural farm boy, you're white, you're 27 years old, and you smell like you have blue eyes and brown hair. And the amount of times I've had people like DM me being like, did my friend put you up to this? Is this a prank? Like, come on, what the fuck, man? And then I actually explain it, and they either believe me and then they're out, or they're just like, you're fucking crazy. But I'll just tell people details about their lives, and it doesn't always go that way. It's not like my ability relies on actually being accurate. It's just what they smell like, because there could be someone that lives in Chicago that eats nothing but Krispy Kreme, and they smell like they live in Daytona, Florida, and eat like locally grown mangoes. It's like, ha, you're bullshit. And I'm like, no, I mean, you smell really good. I mean, you spiritually have the right type of genes. So, I mean, you should be proud of yourself, right? So it doesn't always go accurate, but when it does, it scares the shit out of people. I've had people accuse me of hacking them, doxing them, all sorts of things. And it's, the terror is kind of funny. I mean, it's just, it's like a consistent, what the fuck. But yeah, no, I remember posting on Reddit like this kind of ad where it's like, I offered to pay $50 for a feeding session. Basically, white women smell the best. They have the best quality of energy for me. Korean women are also okay. Korean men also okay. Muslim women pretty good. But yeah, no, it's typically Northern Europeans that have like this, that kind of my preference, and typically young virgins. Um, and typically, if they already have like some type of spiritual practice, like there's this one I offered to pay her like $150 to take like cleansing baths or whatever, and to cleanse herself and do grounding rituals and things like that to really like add, more spiritual fortitude, clear herself out of any junk and parasites and things like that, and to like get her quality to like just you know I oftentimes with these people that understand what this is all about, I'll improve their lives, improve them spiritually, just so I can feed and get a good meal, and then that's it. Right, so the whole point of that Reddit thing was, I think I posted that on like r slash left hand path, I think another one like r slash vampirism, and yeah, everyone in the comments were like, this guy is a fucking psychopath, this guy is a Nazi or whatever, he's talking about races and stuff, or he's a pedophile, and he's like saying I want young women, and I think on one of them I didn't emphasize 18 because I just thought that's kind of assumed, that if you have a car and you can drive out to a location in a public setting that's not suspicious, but yeah, like I made sure in the next post to emphasize legal age, right? But yeah, so the whole thing was I was to sit down with them at this little bookstore, and they would what would happen is, this is just how it works for me, this is the best way to do it. They'd put out their wrist, I'd grab their wrist, they'd grab my wrist, and then I'd just start pulling energy out, and then after like maybe 5 minutes I give them the $50, or depending on the quality, $100, and I would just leave and then go home and go to bed. No romanticism, nothing sexual, but yeah, and it's funny because I've actually saved children's lives with this before, but you'll see why I'm accused of pedophilia a lot. I remember his children are the best to feed on. They are psychic beacons. They are like nuclear generators of vital energy, which we'll get into what vital energy is and all that. But they produce so much of it that it's like that hallway scene from The Shining. They are so close to the beginning that they produce more vital energy than they actually need, which can be a detriment to the spiritual world around them. And it's like an ocean of pure blood that just smells and tastes like veal, piglet, lamb. It's fucking amazing, and so clean, so nutrient dense, and just wonderful. And every day it floods everywhere. And if you could see what I could see, you'd see like a bunch of fucking places, like family restaurants, covered in rotted, stained blood. Like we're talking, what, this restaurant's been around for 50 years. It's only families that eat there. So, I can't walk in without going, because it's like, imagine like 25,000 gallons of human blood from a child, rotted and just, desiccated and like kind of congealed, stacked up over layers and layers and decades all throughout, and it's filled with so much fucking death energy and Saturnian energy. It's so unpalpable. It smells like horse feces. It's worse than that. The smell of rotted child vital energy I don't go anywhere where there's like daycares or anywhere where there's a lot of children, because no one's feeding on them, and the energy they leave behind makes me want to hang myself from a ceiling fan. I'd rather fucking be in the midsection of the human centipede than go into a fucking daycare. Jesus Christ. It's horrendous, but when they naturally have it flow, fucking amazing. It's just the most purest, delicious. That's fucking amazing. And oftentimes, there are children that are hyper, and all that obnoxious. But even then, even with well-behaved parents, right? There are parents that look like they want to die. They look depressed. They look drained. They look broken. Even if their child isn't a handful, even if they have one child and they have a stay-at-home job, like where they're doing office work, and everything about their life doesn't really emphasize stress, even financially. They could be upper middle class and they look like they want to fucking jump off a building. It's because their child is basically squirting thousands of gallons of blood every day, and that blood expires after 3 days. And their house is so filled, like a compressed room of rotted blood, and those parents are breathing it in. And even if they're not psychically aware, it makes them feel sick. It fucks up their hormones. It makes them just like, I have friends that, I taught how to clear this energy out because they're parents, and they'll come to their house and hang out with them, and they know I'm feeding on their kids. I'm just siphoning their energy into my being, and they know about it, and they're grateful because it's made their lives as parents easier. And if you're going to be a parent, marrying a psychic vampire, whether that's a husband or wife, especially the woman, with the maternal or paternal instincts, they'll never harvest too much of it, but all that unnecessary energy that children just shouldn't produce, they'll consume it, and you'll have a happy life. Psychic vampires make some of the best parents there are, which is great. And I feed on children every day, and this is one of the things I mentioned to the person that got me fired. I just siphon their energy. I remember there was this one woman that was psychic, that was aware of what I was doing. I lived in this apartment, in an old town I used to live, and I was like in the upper floor, and I'm looking down, and I see her with her cradle, and there's just this little Mexican woman, or a little Mexican baby, and I'm just doing this by the window, and I'm just like, oh man, alrighty. And then I look down, and she's just looking up at me like, like sees me through this dark window, just doing this hand gesture towards her child, just with my black hoodie at the time, just like with the shadow over the eye, so it's like creepy like this. And I'm just like, and I just went to my room, locked the door, and it was like, she's plausible deniability. Yeah, I do that all the time. I used to work somewhere where there was a family restaurant. All these families would come in, and I'd just be so fed. Let me tell you, that job became impossible to work after that business closed down. Now it's just, now I don't work there anymore, but now it's just gamblers and drug addicts, and it really went downhill quick, and there's nothing to feed on. It's pretty terrible. But yeah, usually, you can tell a lot about a person based off their energy. And I remember, and this might count as stalking, but I just smell the sheer joy, purity of children, and consume it every day. And then there's this one little girl. She had to be like 7 years old, and she came in with her father, and I smelt her energy because I had a low point in my life where I didn't have good quality energy, and there were plenty of women that willingly let me feed on them that were my age, and I was like 17 and they were 17, and they were all sexual abuse survivors, and their energy tastes the same. It was just this really sad, broken, lower quality to, if you ever eat steak, right, the difference between like a really good steak and something you eat at the grocery store is that if it's like, grass-fed, pasture-raised, free-range, oh, doggy, hello, hi, hello, nice to meet you, oh my goodness, hello, oh. Whose dog is that? Is that your dog?
Yeah.
Okay. Make sure.
It's odd to see a dog running around by itself. She takes herself for a walk. We're going to the doggy park. She knows how to get there.
Fair enough. That's a good dog. But yeah, no. You can just smell when someone's been raped or molested, and it's really sad. Just this overwhelming feeling of despair, like you're in a locked in a dark room of void that seems infinitely endless and yet so constricting. Like your power's been taken away from you, and you scream so hard, but no sound comes out. That's what it smells like. So this little girl, the 7-year-old, smelled like that, and I'm like looking at her father. And here's the thing: I don't feed on pedophiles. I don't feed on serial killers. I don't feed on drug addicts. Um, because if you feed on someone that I fed on someone that did a lot of meth, and it gave me meth withdrawal. So yeah, uh, the if you don't feed on a good host, a lot of their bullshit becomes your bullshit. It clears out of your system, but you're just sitting there just wanting to die, and you're like you had a really bad fender bender, and you're like, oh, you know, this one time when I had like 6 glasses of whiskey, and 6 shots of Jägermeister, and one blue ribbon, and the next morning it's something like that. It's not pleasant, and he smelled. I could tell a lot about what he was into, so I write down their license plate. Right, I take photos of both of them, just for reference, without either of them knowing. And then I'm looking on Facebook or whatever, and I'm running a background check with their plates, finding who the car's registered with, and then eventually I found out all their information, where they live, things like that. And I'm like, yeah, this father is basically raping his 7-year-old girl. Like, I can smell it on her. It's fucking disgusting. And I give an anonymous report. A few weeks later, I don't read the newspaper, and I'm looking at the newspaper. Same fucking, like, that police busted him. He was fucking arrested, and the mother was given custody. He was fucking raping his little girl. Isn't that fucking wild? I was just like, so I've used my psychic vampirism to save, or my varmirism to save children, you know. But then it's like, oh, that child smells so fucking good. People are like, oh, what the fuck, you know. And it's just like, and it's so not sexual to me, because like I've had people say to me, you gotta feed on your sexual partner. Have you tried vampiric tantra? And I'm like, uh, uh, I'm saving myself for marriage, even though I have a high body count, and I regret it. I wish I was still a virgin. Saving myself for her, right? But I'm gonna be like, you know what? You're still in the good. You're still able to emotionally bond. I'm kind of mentally broken and dead inside because of this debauchery I have taken part in, and I'm not going to do the deed with you until we're married, until we live together, until we're willing to have kids, right? Financially, at least, we're both willing, but financially is the thing. But yeah, I could never imagine having sex with my wife and feeding on her. I've never fed on a sexual partner. I have been in threesomes and every form of degeneracy. I have eaten out so much cooch, it's not even funny. It's never, occurred to me when she orgasms and all this vital energy is like, flowing, that I can consume it, because it's like, why, and it's weird, because when people that willingly let me feed on them, they get sexual about it. I'm like, have you seen a video of a lion eating a gazelle? Have you seen a video of a crocodile coming out of the water and grabbing a monkey? What's sexual about that? You're eating food. Imagine just going into a McDonald's and biting into a sandwich and going, ah, just fucking like a drooling retard. And where's the turn on? If anything, it turns me off and makes me want to go anorexic. I couldn't imagine feeding on someone that I was attracted to. Does that make sense? Um, it kind of spawned a joke, right? I'm not sure if I'm going to do this because I don't have the rest of the stand-up routine. But I was thinking of dressing up as a clown, like the kind that eats kids, and going on stage. As I hate clowns, I'm very afraid of clowns. Going on stage at my local comedy club and having one of the starting lines be like, I hear that a lot of pedophiles were sexually abused a lot of the times by their parents when they were kids, and that a lot of pedophiles are that way because of abuse. And then the next part would be like, but you know what? I think it's the opposite. I think it's actually neglect, right? Because clearly their parents weren't in their lives enough to tell them not to play with their food. Just with full clown makeup, maybe like sharp teeth, like the fucking fake dentures. Just like they clearly didn't teach them not to play with their food, And I remember I was hanging out with friends, and they were like, "Yeah, what's worse, fucking a child or eating a child, right? Like people that eat children or have sex with them." I'm like, I mean, as someone who's been sexually abused myself, I gotta say I'd rather be eaten, you know. Like objectively, like people that eat kids are definitely they're not in the right, but they're less in the wrong. Um, you know, it just doesn't invoke as much like I could see it. I've eaten veal, I've eaten lamb, I've eaten piglet. So some weird billionaire creep that just eats children like the Baba Yaga, it invokes less of a primal disgust than like someone that looks at a flat-chested girl that's built like a 10-year-old boy and goes, "Fucking damn," I don't. I'm just like, what the fuck? There's nothing on her. Why? Like, no. There's there's no ass. It's just bones. This is like Jack Skellington's rear end. I'm like, how are you? Like, you need to die. Like, what the fuck, man? But yeah, no. It's funny because I'm not beating the accusations at this point. I used to be a Discord moderator. But one of the problems was that they kept having minors that kept coming onto the server, and it was only meant for adults. It wasn't a sexual server. I think it was a political server with a lot of like sensitive stuff that'd always be posted. But yeah, I was in charge with like verification and things like that. People send their IDs, and and what got me banned from the server, and I've been banned off of. I have a thing in my room that has the exact number. I think I've been banned off of 84 Discord servers for the same reason, because no one suspects vampirism. No one's gonna think, oh, he's clearly talking about vampirism and the occult. No, they're thinking this guy's fucking Epstein. But yeah. He's Epstein. But one of I was very efficient with making sure that minors didn't go onto the server because I could smell them just by their names, their profile photos. Even if it was an avatar, I could smell them through their phone screen. I could smell them. I'd be like, this person, they smell like lamb, like the kind you rub with red Cabernet and olive oil and oregano, and you slow roast in an oven at like 200 degrees for like 5 hours. Fuck, and they're like, oh my god, why are you talking about children like this? And I'm like, well, you didn't know they were children until I brought it up. But yeah, even when acting like Chris Hansen, you somehow end up on the other end of the table when you're a psychic vampire or a Varmir. You could dress in the suit and it's like time to catch the predator, and it's like the predator pulls out the Uno reverse card and you're like, oh shit, how did I end up sitting here? But one of the things that got me banned off of one server where I was an age verification moderator was I smelled the person through their screen, and I'm like, this person shouldn't be on the server. They haven't menstruated yet. I can't smell their menstruation. And banned, like fucking reported so hard. And it's like, you know how people are going to react. So is it really, are you really mad? No, I'm not. It's just funny because like, it's just the logic of it is I haven't actually said anything that, technically is whatever. And yes, I'm rage baiting. I'm absolutely rage baiting. I'm definitely trolling. I've been trolling online since I was a kid, but you know, it's funny because from my perspective, it's just another day at KFC. From their perspective, it's a whole nother world. But it's interesting when people project their whatever, not their pedophilia, but project pedophilia onto you for something that actually has nothing to do with any of that. I'm like, they're thinking there's no way he actually like can smell that this child's underage. So he must be using like secret triangle swirl language to as a metaphor for what he actually means. And I'm like, no, it might sound retarded, autistic. You can call me a role player, but this is actually what it is. It is a superhuman ability. Um, and that, and it's funny because the irony is for banning me off of these servers where I'm actually pushing children away, their servers now have a bunch of children on them. So it's like tarot readings. It's the same type of thing where, something bad was going to happen to someone. You give them a tarot reading and they're thinking, this is stupid. There's no way this actually works, but you believe in it enough to entertain the idea of getting a tarot reading. So when I lay it out and I give all these details about their life and they're like, oh, and then they're like, I mean, that's pretty accurate. And then I'm like, so this is what's going to happen to you. This is how you can avoid it. This is what you need to change in your life. And they're amazed by all the stuff that I get right. But then it's like their brain switches off and they're like, yeah, with this last couple of cards that tell me the advice on how to like prevent calamity, fuck it. Fuck it. And then when it happens, there's this weird thing where they shouldn't have known it happened, so they have nothing to blame. They're just like, well, that's a shitty life. And then and I know there's going to be some tarot readers that are professionals that are going to see this and go, fuck, he's speaking for us. But then when that bad thing happens and now they know that it was going to happen, they think, not only is tarot real, but they cursed me, they jinxed me. Oh yeah, they jinxed me. They fucked up my life. They brought this bad juju onto me, and then they become like evangelical Christians, and they're like, this is how tarot fucked up my life. And the complete lack of responsibility. It's like, why would you ask for advice, be given, an exact description of this bad thing that's happening to you, and then go, I'm going to do the exact opposite, the thing they told me not to do. And then when it happens, this is their fault. They did this to me because they knew about it beforehand. Well, I give up. And that's part of the reason I got out of tarot, because I really like the idea of helping people and genuinely making people's lives better. And then when they ignored it, like they entertained me. But then they fuck up their life and they're like, this fucking asshole, he did this to me. And I've had people that when I did give them tarot readings, when I think one of the worst, I'm not sure if anyone can relate to this. I had someone put a knife to their throat and they're like, how the fuck did you know? Did you just use this as an excuse to like get close to me? And just so you can reveal that you've been stalking me? Like I nearly fucking died over a tarot reading. I'm like, no, this is just the cards, bro. So I got out of that, and I only give myself tarot readings because I listen to the advice and it improves my life. But nearly losing my own life over a fucking deck of cards was, and it kind of relates to the whole vampirism thing, because people will absolutely come up with any other fucked up conspiracy theory or accusation rather than taking something for what it is, because there's no way it could be what it is. Oh, doggy. But so yeah, so is it my fault for rage baiting them and putting myself in this situation where I'm hated? Yes, but it's also obscure that I can't be what I am and just have people be like, that's what he is. Instead it's like, he's fucking the kids. He's fucking the kids. I'm gonna have to make this a multiple part video series, but yeah, I think this is where I end this this part of it. Where is the blip blip blip? All right, 1 hour. Oh, that's pretty good time.